Hi everyone, this is Elias Martin from Collecting Japanese Prints, welcoming you to Woodblock Wednesday, where on Wednesday we get together to discuss Japanese prints, Japanese art, Japanese history. So it's been quite some time since I've done one of these Woodblock Wednesdays. The last couple of weeks have been really busy for me. So basically, I've been working on this exhibition that will go live on my website, collectingjapaneseprints.com, in a couple weeks. It's a great exhibition. There's going to be some really wonderful prints from all genres, ukiyo-e, shinhanga, and particularly sosaku-hanga. There's a lot of prints in this particular exhibition, and a few paintings actually, that I think I put together to highlight sort of the genre. Great sosaku-hanga prints rarely come up for sale, and I do a really good job at finding them. And in this particular exhibition, there's quite a few that I'm very proud to offer my clients. So, when that goes up, I'll certainly put a post online. Of course, if you want to receive an email with advance warning when the exhibition goes up, please sign up on my website, collectingjapaneseprints.com. But for today, I wanted to discuss one particular print that will be coming up in this exhibition. It is a sosaku-hanga print, and it's an extraordinarily rare work. And I'm really fortunate to have acquired it and offer it to all of you. So without further ado, let's have a look. So what I have here at the table today is a woodblock print by Kiyoshi Saito. And this particular print was done in 1979. You could see the date there. Or I'm sorry, 77. And the numeration, the edition is 7 out of 8. And what's really noteworthy about this design is it's actually a portrait of the Japanese premier Takeo Fukuda. And this particular print was actually commissioned by Time magazine for a particular issue of their cover. And I actually have the cover here, the Time magazine. It is dated March 28th, 1977. And here we have, see, I'm trying to avoid the glare. Here we have the print. Again, Kiyoshi Saito produced this work on commission, and it illustrates the Japanese premier Takeo Fukuda. And this particular article describes Japan and its emphasis on trying to assert its influence out beyond the eastern skies of its locale. And this is interesting because in the early to late 80s is when really Japan rose, its status rose quite a bit as an economic power. And there was a time where basically everyone thought Japan would rule the world. So it's interesting now that we're in a bit different time where many people think the same way, but now about China. So we'll see how that plays out. But in this, going back to the woodblock print, this is an extraordinarily rare work. As I said, it was commissioned for the Time magazine cover, and the edition is 7 out of 8, 1977. And this print, I can go on and on about it, but what's interesting is that Kiyoshi Saito produced this design using a very interesting technique that he used in quite a few of his woodblock prints. He incorporated the wood grain of the block that he was using into the design, and he added this, he cut out portions of the face to create depth, to give a sense of light coming in from the side here, so the ear and parts of the face, underneath and above the eyes, and then of course on the forehead there. You get a sense of light coming in from the right side. But it also creates a really wonderful sort of effect of the wood grain in contrast to the solid white of the paper. And then of course then you have the wood grain, a darker wood grain around the head and then the other portion of the design. So it's a really cool print. And when you look at the Time magazine cover, it looks very similar. Now, what you don't see here, I'll try to move the magazine so the glare isn't very strong. But you see in the background, you don't get that background from the print as strongly. And of course, the whole background is also sort of, it almost looks like wood grain. It might have been carved. I have to carefully look, or it might just be the wood grain effect from the printing blocks. So I'm just going to zoom in so that you can see the print. And for those of you who are not familiar with Kiyoshi Saito, he's a Sosaku Hanga artist. He got his start in the I would say late 30s, early 40s. He started making prints then, but he was more an oil painter. And he dedicated his career to woodblock printmaking. He pretty much decided on prints in the early to mid 1940s. And he was sort of an admirer of Koshiro Onshi and was around his circle of artists. And as a Sosaku Hanga artist, he carved and printed his own designs. So this is entirely carved by him and printed by him, as is the tradition of the Sosaku Hanga school. And in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, Saito had sort of a renaissance of his work. And I think some of his work from the 60s kind of is a little bit tired. He's looking for something. Of course, he was traveling and did some designs of Europe, which are very charming. But his late 60s designs, I think, I don't know, he had lost his momentum. And in the late 70s into the 80s, even his late work in the 90s, there's this really great reworking of his previous designs or previous motifs in a new, fresh way. And this portrait, really emphasizes the technique of the woodblock printmaking, highlighting the materials, meaning the paper and of course the woodblocks. So, I think it's a really profound design because it highlights the production of woodblock printmaking, and it is such a cool thing to have the Time magazine cover that goes with this particular print. How I acquired this print was in the possession of the Time magazine bureau chief based in Tokyo. And so it's extraordinarily rare. From what I understand, the Time magazine company acquired 2 pieces from Saito. Saito had 1, and then the rest went to the imperial family and some dignitaries. So as far as I know, this is the only one in private hands. And so I'll be highlighting this print in my next exhibition coming up online. So I want to thank all of you for joining me on a late edition of Woodblock Wednesday. And again, I'm working really hard to get this exhibition up online in a few weeks. I would say no later than the end of March. There'll be a wonderful collection of masterpieces by ukiyo-e, shin-hanga, sosaku hanga artists, some Western artists as well. And this Saito print will be part of that exhibition. So thank you very much for joining me, where every Wednesday we get together and talk about Japanese prints, culture, and art. Thank you again. See you soon. Bye-bye.